It's a remarkable collection of memories that I have about the development of our movement for the acknowledgement, the recognition, and the reaction and response to suicide in California, perhaps the United States, and even worldwide. I have a feeling that our interest in the whole field of suicide began with Curfew, who was a coroner of Los Angeles at that time. I would attribute to him one of the most interesting aspects of our work, and it is how the profession of suicidology as such can become involved with the coroner's office.
You may or may not know that in those early days, most of the psychiatric social workers were deputy coroners. And we needed to have that designation in order to do psychological autopsies. I mean, the fact that you were provided with sometimes very minimal information and then develop additional leads in the investigative process to find out what happened in the last 48 hours of that person's life.
The work of postvention, the work of really understanding began with this team, this incredible team of Dr. Farberow, Dr. Schneidman, Dr. Littman, right here in this very building.
My reason for exploring it was because, here's an area that very few people have been active in. There's a lot of room to look around in and to maybe do something that other people would be involved with, interested in, and come to look on you as a pioneer in it.
And he still is a pioneer. He never stopped being open to new ideas and embracing them. And he was excited about the new things that the Suicide Prevention Center tried.
Being supervised by Norm, his demeanor, his way of approaching clients who were thinking about suicide, his way of approaching me as an intern, learning about how to treat people who were preoccupied with thoughts of suicide, was just instrumental in helping me feel that this was something where I could make a contribution.
When a high-profile individual dies, there's a great deal of interest. The big case that broke new ground for this office had to do with the facts about the death of Marilyn Monroe.
It's always impressive to me how far you can go in providing just simple companionship to prevent a suicide. Because if the person is just simply available to a telephone call.
But that whole concept of developing paraprofessionals to provide counseling and treatment by use of the suicide hotline, great intervention, and it worked.
I think it's Norman Farberow who has launched and decided to have a survival program, which as a consequence of the investigation made by the DIT, the Death Investigation Team, to listen, to help survivors.
He changed people's attitudes towards suicide. It ceased to be a shame. The Suicide Prevention Center looked at suicide and suicidal thoughts as something that we should heal. But it all came from a commitment and an understanding that people were in terrible psychological pain if they were considering suicide.
If you say, why haven't you ever entertained the problem of killing yourself? The answer is, I have, anytime. Usually I found that give myself enough time, there will be another answer that'll come along. Eventually something will change. There's always the factor of time.
Dr. Farberow, for those who know him, is a wise, gentle, calm, giving person, has always been that way.
He's a very steady Eddie. He's the kind of guy that's consistent. You can depend on him. And he didn't have a lot of talk about it, but you could see it, you could feel it.
Everything I've done in my career of suicidology and suicide prevention, I've done it because my meeting with Norman Farberow.
He gave me probably the best piece of personal and professional advice I have ever been given. He said, look, if you want to succeed in this field, and actually the advice could go for life in general, you need to focus on what's under your control and on always doing your professional best. That's what you're responsible for.
I mean, the testament to how dedicated he was to the field is that after he retired, he must have worked, really, he just didn't get paid, for 20 or 30 years. He is one of the most modest, humble icons I've ever met. He would never tell someone about all the honors and all the books. You probably wouldn't even know that he's in suicide unless it came up for some reason, because he's so modest. And it carries over into the way he is in life.
This is where I called him Captain Farberow and also Monsieur Farberow, saying that in my country, this is the whole we call the prince. And maybe Norman was really the prince of suicide prevention.
I'm glad I was around when it started, and I appreciate all the activity and effort that is now being done in the prevention of suicide.
Thank you, sir.